Previously on All Motorcycles, I got to and removed the leaking part, searched for, found and ordered replacement parts, got distracted with cleaning. In this episode, the shed's looking a lot cleaner, I noticed some brake woes, and a quick, unessential job could spell disaster for the revival. Right, well I think it's time that the front fairing comes off. This will give me access, or better access, to the brake lines. The the shocks, and it also stopped me knocking into these mirrors as I'm walking past, because this thing is literally bang in the middle of the shed. So getting this off should reduce the footprint of the bike in the shed somewhat. Sorry if the light's a bit weird. I'm using a little desk lamp to try and supplement the lighting a bit. So yeah, we'll get into her. I'll have a quick nose and see how I can figure out how to get this off. Okay, so I've looked at the manual and it's reasonably clear, but it isn't fully clear. So what I can spot is that there's these little, there's a nut here holding this bracket on, but off that there's a little Allen. So I'll probably just undo the Allen key and leave the brackets in place. So there's one, and there's a mirror image over there. In here, that's just a screw. That should be a screw actually that mounts this to this kind of front fairing holder, and it also holds on the lower fairing. I'm not sure if there is a bolt. Give me 2 seconds. On the other side, there's a bolt on the other side, so we have that going for us. There's also those two nuts. You can just about see there's one there and then there's one there. They hold on the whole front fairing holder thingamajigger. I'm also thinking I might have to take out the front cluster. Sorry now for moving the tripod. To get to that, there is a screw just there and one on the other side. Let me take this front trim piece off, which should let me get into hopefully a bit more of this. It's saying about taking the mirrors off, but I suppose I could take them off, but they're that delicate looking. I really don't want to mess with them if I don't have to. I'm leaving the windshield in. I might try and get a new windshield because I know it looks a bit naff, but I don't mind, to be honest. Right, so I'm going to undo, first things first, I'm going to undo these. And this is another T-file, so I already have this loose. How convenient. That achieved absolutely nothing, and it's the same with the far side. So the Allen screw I just took out was here, and then if we pan over here you can see where there's supposed to be another one here. Now this one is present on the other side, so I'm going to take that out next. So we're on the other side now, and I'm not sure if this is supposed to be a GIS screw or if it's supposed to be an Allen. Sorry, I'm hitting the tripod. But we'll take it out regardless. And watch just the whole front of the bike. Oh, it is actually loosening. Brilliant. Okay, so that's going into the, you'll be able to see it from here. Let me get it for you. To the magnetic cup. Huh? Of course it's not magnetic. Oh! Right, so I'm starting to think you do have to take the mirrors off, because I just noticed where this bit of fairing is cracked that there's a little, what is that, 10 or 12 mil bolt that seems to be holding this part to this front fairing holder, and you can't get to that without removing this inner fairing, inner piece, which is held in place by the bolt that holds the mirrors in place. So taking that bolt out should loosen this whole contraption, because the bottom half of this fairing is a bit loose. It still feels nice and tight around the instrument cluster, so that's where I'm going to go next. Now I somehow managed to get the work light synced onto the side cover holder bolt. Actually, looking at the manual, these aren't what hold on the mirrors. The mirrors are held on by two other bolts, so we're going to undo this puppy, which should take this piece out and do the same this side, which should get me more access to more bolts. So we're going deeper. It pays to read the manual.
It pays to read the manual. It pays to read the manual.
Because I'm not a mechanic. And just like every other fastener on this bike, that was hilariously loose. we see the mounting brackets for the mirrors. I do like how, apart from that one screw, GIS screw, all the bolts so far have been the same. So now watch, this one's going to be too tight for me to do by hand. Yeah, typical. Typical. Let me get the ratchet. Tight bolt. What is going on here now? Oh! There's a little locating tab that locates into... There's a little slot here that this drops into. So it oh no. Oh. We're getting closer to Shellob's lair. Now, if I were a betting man, which I'm not, I would say that those mirror bolts that I really didn't want to take off, they look very solid and metal, both sides. So those probably come up, and the only way I can describe it is like ram's horns off of the front fairing mount. So I'd say that is key to getting the front off, is to disconnect, because it actually goes through this and those bolts. So mirrors off, and that should free up the top to be loosey-goosey off the fairing mount, and then it's just whatever. Hopefully it's just those bolts that hold this front thing onto that mount, but we will see. We'll find out together. So yeah, so we're going to take off the clutch side bolts here. So these are 10 mils, and I'm using, the reason I'm using a 1/4 inch ratchet is because it's the only one I have that's a 6-sided socket rather than a 12-sided, just to get a better grip on the bolts. They look good and strong, but I don't want to be wringing these puppies off. And that's not going to work. So let me get a 10 mil spanner. And if this works now, I'll be impressed. Oh, that's good and tight. And another reassuringly tight bolt. Not sure if you can see, but as I'm undoing that bolt, the mirror, you probably can't see it, is slowly starting to drop here. I hope nothing's about to jump out at me. And that is one mirror mount. So that's actually a lot more solid than I imagined. So these nuts are going straight back on here, so I don't lose them. Now, another thing I noticed recently that I didn't notice initially was, and I framed this for you so you can see, there's a decent crack running the whole length of this thing. So I don't know how long for the world this is, but I don't want to replace it with some generic thing, because it is quite, you know, it feeds into the aero, super aero, and it's a good solid mirror, so I'm not getting rid of it unless I have to. And that already is after making life a lot easier for the shed. So the tear down not tear down, the extremely careful removal of parts continues. Okay, so 10 mils at the ready. The one we can socket. It's weird that these ones are loose, obviously because they were easy to get to, but then the lower ones are tight as all hell, because maybe they didn't have a 10 mil spanner, I don't know. We'll see now. Oh no, that was loose too. That was only hand tight, so these have been off before as well. Wonder if those rubber mounts are factory to stop vibrations. Interesting. That's not there on the other. Oh, it's because it's stuck to the bike. Interesting. So these are going back on. If you look, the I wonder what that is. sure what that is. Anyway, these are the mounting holes for the mirrors, and these actually come up through the fairing. So yeah, the fairing does just kind of push over that. See that? Yeah. God, I wonder if the whole thing just come off now. Oh. Ho ho! You see that? Hang on. So the front now is is it coming off? Is there wires holding it? It's the indicator wires and the headlight. That's it. So I'll see if I can't get an angle for you to see that happening. It's basically just a socket unplugged, but I'll see if I can't get a shot for you. Ever the legend, this is the indicator connector, and as I said, ever the legend, Mr. Honda put, now this is probably a common feature on bikes, but having only ever worked on a CD175 really this in depth, there's none of these mounts that hold the plugs in place. So this is that should just pop out of there. So there's one off. So this supplies the indicator. The main bulb is in there under all the webs. Where does it go? I have to find the name. Oh, there you go. Well, that can't be good. But it just basically pulls out. And then it's just the indicator. So let me see if I can't get that out of the way now. Hopefully you can see this. I'm also just doing a quick spider check. Now this one, if you can see, can you see this? No, you can't see this, hang on. The clutch side indicator isn't in its little bracket. So when I'm putting this back, I'm going to remind myself to put this back in the bracket. And then we can have a look at this. So what I thought was actually a leaf is some fiberglass or some kind of filler type job. That's my dog, my neighbour's dog, not yours, I'm sorry. Sorry. There is someone who I was talking about who watched the video says, Frank, you're obsessed with spiders. And it's not that I'm obsessed with spiders. It's just when you don't like spiders, you're more aware of them. And just there, that's a load of eggs. Probably long dead, but they'll be getting removed. You can see the mechanism for raising and lowering the beam. And this looks like it's to access the... looking at the windshield, it's literally held in place by 2 screws basically, and then a load of clips. So that shouldn't be too hard to replace. And be able to give this a nice clean inside and out. So these are the intakes for the air, and then they don't really go anywhere. The lower one underneath the headlight does kind of direct roughly at this oil cooler, which, if I'm honest, has seen probably better days. It's definitely got a few dings because there's nothing there stopping anything just flying into it. There's a bit of rust as well. Good bit of rust. But this piece is the piece. Oh, sorry, you can't see the rust. Sorry. It doesn't look as bad on camera, but there is a reason a bit, like it's all rusty here and here and here. So that'll probably be getting a lick of black at some stage. That's all the clocks in place though, so I'm going to leave them if I can. Like, there's no need to remove them. So I can, well, maybe to paint this thing. So to remove them, I'm not going to do. It's basically, looking at it, there is a bolt there, and then there's a bolt there, and that whole thing should Obviously with the speedo cable and everything. I ain't going to start messing with that just yet, and the loom and everything. So pretty much now the only bit of bodywork that's left on the bike is, if I can loosen my thing to do this, is it's not that, it's this. The front mudguard, that will be coming off so I can get better access to the stanchions, and I'm sorry I'm showing you I'm not sorry. Showing you every single nut coming undone. The reason is it's so I can put the thing back together, because as I keep saying, not a mechanic. So this is where it's going to live for a while, up on top of the racks. Most of the bodywork is up there now. It had been scattered all around the place, so at least it's all kind of central up there now and wrapped in as many rags as I can. So, right, let's go on to the mudguard. Incidentally, I found this. So this is the, I was going to say driver's side for God's sake. The accelerator side brake disc, and this is fine. I'm not sure if you can see that. There's a slight little gap there, but I can't feel one. There's no indent from where the disc is. Now, strangely, there's oil. That's probably just road grime. Anyway, let me show you the clutch side. Now we're on the clutch side, and yeah, I noticed this incidentally there when I was cleaning the bike. There is, how can I show this so you can see it? This is the best way I can kind of show you. I don't like using the zoomed in camera because I know it doesn't focus whatsoever. So what you're looking for is just in here, and when I turn the light you'll see it cast a shadow. See that? That shadow is the groove. And it's the same problem this side. You see it catches here. When the light comes around, it catches that groove, I suppose. So that disc is cooked. And then there's no point in changing one disc. This is probably where the EBC sticker came from, because I probably had to buy a disc, whoever was at this. So we'll have to add 2 discs. I must actually check the back disc now. You have to cut these rags off the anyway, it's a common enough thing where this is the feed line down from the master cylinder, and it comes down into a junction, a T, and it shoots across here and then down to this caliper, and then there's a similar hose comes off that and goes down to the clutch side caliper. So I would rather have got just 2 braided steel lines that go from here, each one straight up, eliminate this piece, and have them meet up just on a longer banjo bolt at the master cylinder. And then separately, I'm considering painting the Nissan, I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that right, Nissan calipers. The light doesn't really show it, but they wear gold, I believe. So I have gold paint, but it's quite a pale gold. So I don't know whether to try and go pale gold or if I go glitzy, wow, get dazzling gold. Just because if I'm putting all the effort into rebuilding them, I'm going to have them off the bike. I can clean them, brine them, and paint them whatever colour I want. We're on the accelerator side now of the bike, and I see this mudguard has got at least 2 10mm and possibly one here, but I'll undo these first and I'll get a look at this and see if this is structurable. So that was a little bit tight, which was good. Another reason why I'm using the 6-sided spanner is it just grips the bolt far more, whereas I'm not saying it's a 12-sided would have rounded that if I had it slipped, but you just get a much nicer, you know this, if you're watching this you know that. You know, I know I keep saying I'm working on the film and quality, but no one is saying anything. So if it is getting better, but I actually did pretty good before I got grease on my hands now. So time for the gloves. So we're clutch side now. Gloves on. So now, as I was saying, I keep trying to improve the filming and the audio, because I noticed in the first 2 videos. First one especially, the audio's up and it's down, it's up and it's down. So in my third video there, the last one, I really did try and even it out as best I could. So if... Oh God, that's tight. Ooh. Man, that wasn't coming off. If it's making a difference, tell me, because I need my ego stroked. No, I just need to know if it's worth all the effort. So it seems you can't see it now because the supporting light I have is blinding. Oh, you can see. There's a little bolt in there that seems to hold on. Probably a little bracket in there, and on the other side, on the accelerator side, it seems to like be also holding on part of the brake line. So I'll undo this and see what happens. Oh wow! Hope it doesn't start pouring brake fluid now, but as you can probably see how wet the whole place is, there's something pouring out of her. Let's get it looser. Right, back to the accelerator side. Can you see what I mean? There's a little bracket. It's just a little bracket that holds, braces this piece that secures the line. It doesn't actually. So when I undo this bolt, this might come a little bit loose. But then when I take the mudguard out, I should be able to put this back in. So that's the thought process anyway. Oh, I don't like that. Oh, no, 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 I don't like that. Don't like that one little bit. Why is that happening? I think it's time to consult the manual.
I think it's time to consult the manual. I think it's time to consult the manual.
Right, so Mr. Manuel wasn't much use, but this bolt does have to come out. So I'm just trying to brace this bracket now with the end of a screwdriver, which hopefully will work better than like jamming in a piece of metal or something. I want it kind of soft, not to be bending things. It just makes life a little bit awkward. It's not working. Oh, no, don't like that. Right. Okay, so we tighten it a little. Maybe we can use your hand, Frank. Yeah. Hey, it worked. Well, colour me surprised as you. I didn't think that was going to work. I don't know why these bolts are so obscenely long. There must be some kind of bracket in there. Oh. That's going to be fun to line all this crap back up. Sorry, I realise you can't probably see any of that. The mudguard now. Oh yeah. Nice. So we've taken the front mudguard off. So pretty much now all I have to do is snap those clip those cable ties, take those rags off, and then I'll clip these and have a look at the sealers if there's any left. Comically small wire clippers. Okay, let's see if I can't get you a view of these. What is it even? Is this? So you can see how wet this rag is. Can you see this? Yeah. So, literally soaking with hydraulic oil. Not ideal, considering it's supposed to be in the shock, not pouring out the top. And I mean, it's even to the point where there's actually a puddle of it here on the ground. Actually pretty damn clean in terms of imperfections and rust. There's some way up here. And I mean, if I'm using that much travel, like, I should never need to use that much travel.
So at this point, rather than trying to refit the new T-piece into the carbs, I thought it would be a quick and easy job to take off the alternator cover and repaint it, as it was looking a bit rough.
Yeah, folks, I have a bit of time this evening, so I'll do a bit more rooting. Taking a pop on this cover off and sanding it down and trying to repaint it. So I'll see what I can get done on this tonight, because ultimately this is something that there's no oil behind, so there's no gas. Sorry, it's flashing, there's a light here. So there's no gasket behind this to be replaced. And B, you're not going to see this.
You're not going to see this. You're not going to see this.
When the fairings are back on. So if I make a dog's dinner of it, no one's going to, well, anyone who watches this video is going to know. Avoiding that carb job as hard as I can. That was reasonably tight without being scarily tight. Now behind this, oh, they're nicely long screws. Probably sand that down as well, freshen it up a bit. They'll be going straight, they're currently in here, but they'll be going straight back in there while I am working on this so I don't lose them. This should, in theory, this should just slide off. Now there's a grommet here, but that should just slide out. So, get a little, that's too big, a little tap. Bit of percussive maintenance. Just trying to loosen this on its casing, because I'd say it's kind of oxidized onto the main body. Like, I'm pretty sure this is cast aluminum, so I don't want to really wail on it in case I break it. This is only a little rubber mallet, so I'm not going to do a whole pile. The problem is I don't seem to be doing a whole pile at all. Disconnect the alternator connector, remove the alternator cover, and remove the clip and grommet from the cover. I think that sounds so easy. It's actually the next day from the last you saw me. So last you saw me, I took these 3 screws out. I was wailing on this thing with my mallet to get it loose, and it... oh god, is it seized up again? Okay, now... I was doing my braining yesterday thinking, god, why can I rotate this and not get it off? And I tried, you saw me lubricating sprays and beating on it and wailing on it and hooking things behind here and bashing it. And I said, oh, I have a brainwave, I'll take the whole alternator out. So slightly further in, you can see one of them here. There are these 3 13mm bolts, no, 12mm bolts, 1, 2, 3, that hold the main body of the alternator in. I thought, grand, I'll unbolt them and take the whole thing out, and then I'll bust this off on the bench. And I unbolt them bolts, and the whole thing shifted, I'd say, pardon the imperial, about an inch. The whole thing came out and it was rocking around, and I could manoeuvre it a good bit. But it wouldn't come any further, and I was thinking, what's going on here now? I deferred to a higher power. I looked at the hive mind and looked at a few lads. One guy in particular had taken his out and was putting it back in. And on the end of the alternator, there's actually a shaft that goes into the crankcase and is driven by a chain. Because of course it has to be driven by a chain or something to drive the bloody thing. I don't know why I thought it'd be a pulley or something. But obviously that has to go into the crankcase to be driven. So when I took this off, there is like an interlocking thing from the shaft into here that is going to the crankcase that mesh up. So when I got them out, it would come a little bit, but not fully. Thank God. So I'm hoping, and I lost a bit of sleep over this, that if I can just get these lined back up and shoved back in, that the oilway that is on the end of that shaft shouldn't have moved, because I didn't get the whole thing out to rotate it. Anyway, why couldn't I get this off? There's a bearing, so there's a bearing stuck. Not stuck. Basically, this is pressed onto a bearing, or should I say the bearing is pressed into this. This was supposed to be a nice easy job to warm me up to painting the front fairing thing, but this, I'm going to... Now when I pop these things back in, everything goes back to normal, and if, when I'm riding this bike, the alternator explodes, I will know that oilway was not lined back up. Well, there we are. So, guess I can get this off. And looking at it, all that penetrating fluid I sprayed on yesterday actually seems to have gotten in. Now, I'll just give the casing a bit of a bash with this stuff. I was going to use the penetrating fluid I used, but it's good enough for brakes, it's good enough for electrical components. It is still a bit rusty, so I might just give that a quick lick. I know it doesn't need it. It's not going to do anything in particular being rusty, but I'd just rather it not be rusty. Alright, so we've got the cover off now. Even with the brake cleaner, you can still see it's got this kind of mottled look, so I don't know what's going on. If it's the aluminium or whatever it is oxidizing underneath the paint, so I'm going to do my best to keep this as safe as I can, mask it off, sand all this down. But in this, there's this plate thing that I don't actually know what it is, and these are 100% GIS bolts or screws, and the way you know that is that dot. See that dot there? They have one each, and that's a real sign that these are GIS. So for future me, this blue dot goes opposite the grommet. I'm just going to pop these out and see what's under it. It's not perfect, but for an alternator cover that's ultimately going to be covered by fairing, and I managed to keep that sticker well, and I got a little bit in there. It's good enough. Interesting note, on the 1000Fs, the whole alternator unit was painted metallic silver. So another little quirk of the 750 has a black one. To you it's been a second, but to me it's been about 2.5, nearly 3 months since I've touched this, because I've been terrified of doing this job in particular. So we continue. Slightly different angle for you. So I've taken out the 3 bolts holding the thing in. I put these bolts back in thinking I'd be able to push the alternator back in place, but oh, it didn't. Now, also you can see the whole case rotates around this shaft. See that? So obviously if the case is stationary, which is normally bolted to the chassis or frame, this inner shaft would be able to rotate. I'm not going to do it because I'm praying that at the end of the shaft that gear is still inside that chain. So, oh god, how in the holy hell am I going to get this to go back in? I'll show you how far off I am, actually, if I can. Bear with me. Now, you can see this case and the bolt housing, I guess, and where it's supposed to locate into. I can fit my finger between those two things. So that's how much I managed to move this out, which is probably the width of that gear. So let the squirming continue. And the cursing. Have the beat machine ready to go. Well, gang, I don't think you can see a whole pot. Maybe you can see it there now. Hey! The cover's on. But it is not back in place. It will not go back that last width of a finger in place. I thought if I put this back on, it would give me more purchase to maneuver it, but alas, it wasn't. So, I rang someone, I deferred to a higher power. I rang the uncle. Oh, and he said read the manual, which was great advice. However, so starter clutch AC generator shaft removal. Step 1, divide the crankcase. Step 2, remove the transmission. Step 3, remove the oil pass plate. Remove 3 bolts. AC generator drive tensioner. Examine the tensioner for replacement. Remove the 3 AC generator base mounting bolts. Those 3 bolts are the bolts I undid to try and take the thing off so I could paint it black. And when I took it off, this shaft and all its accoutrements, which includes the starter clutch, a collar, a damper, a washer, came all calculated with it. And I really don't think I'm going to, like, there's the back of the alternator cover, of the alternator. I highly doubt, like in this picture, where's the tensioner? It's just bare, you can barely even see it because it's got all this crap and chains and stuff hanging off it. So all of that there, all that mess, I know you can't see it, but I can see it, is just All to paint a goddamn thing you're never going to see. Might have just meant, and in fact the more I read it the more I think the engine's going to have to come out and come apart to refit this goddamn shaft. And that is a lot more than I bargained for. This is why I haven't dealt with this in about 2.5 months. So if anyone wants to buy a CBR 750 Hurricane cheap, let me know.
So it's been about 3 months since I recorded that piece. I'm not selling the bike, guys, sorry. I've been putting off making the video or working on the bike since then, really. I kept hoping I could figure out a way to fix it and end on a high note, but it wasn't to be this time. I am going to get the bike sorted though. It might mean getting help from my uncle, who's a mechanic, who has the knowledge and the equipment needed for such an in-depth job. I'm not sure how long part 5 will take, but hopefully it won't take this long again. And if you have been, thank you all for watching.